Hey everyone, welcome back. It's Nat Walsh. Today we're going to have a little play with a Stampendous mask Maxwell. He's super cute. We've got some Tim Holtz Silver Sparkle Alcohol Ink cardstock. You can see it there. It's pretty darn cool. This background I made quite a while ago, but what I'm actually going to do is use some blending solution and use a little puffer tool there and just try and give it a bit of a texture, a bit of move around a little bit. So as you can see with a lot of Yupo cardstock that this just can be re-inked, and I can't tell you when I did this little background, but it was quite a while ago. So I'm not adding any other colors, but I can't tell you the colors and I'm dreadfully sorry, but that's what it is. This Stampendous, I have an issue with the backing. I don't know what I'm doing. If you know what I'm doing, please let me know. But this is edited. So I've stamped it all up in the Memento Tuxedo Black. And what you didn't see there is that it fell off. It fell off the lid. I Googled what you do with these inks, these stamps, and it said to do exactly what I did, but it wasn't working for me. So what I did is add some temporary tape, sort of like a dot runner sort of thing, onto the back of it. I'm now stamping this with the VersaFine. Basically, I just want to I don't want to have to fluff and make a mess out of his fur. Just making sure, turn it over, just making sure that it is all even to the best of my ability. And this is what we're going to colour in. I've got two images here. I was lazy and I just swapped it around. It's not lazy, it's just do what works. The second mouse that I'm not colouring there, the other one, I'm just going to use his tail. So my vibe for this card was basically that he was looking a little bit sad because all his friends were going away and he was stuck wearing this mask, and because he's not well. So that's my little take on that. So I'm using B97, 99, 97, 95 and 93. I'm loving these colours. They're sort of like they've got a bit of grey in them. They're just really nice. And with his little mask and everything else, I am going to end up with a bit of an Edward Scissorhand sort of look at some point. See, there I go with all three in one hand. But my pinks that I'm going to come in are the R89. There is no R85, otherwise I would have used that. 89, 85, 83 and 81, and this is just going to be the rest of his mask. We're going to use some tip to tip with the darkest, the 89 and the 85, just to get an in-between shade, just to blend that through a little bit more. And then I'm going to go through with R85 and just make sure that's all nice and soft. There's only a tiny bit of colour in this little small area, but if you know me at all, you know that I just probably go a bit overboard, frankly, but you know, that's what I am. That's what I like to do, and I find it very relaxing to sit and colour. Hopefully other people do. It's just some ink, it's just a piece of cardstock. If I totally stuff it, so be it, but half the time I try and make sure that, well, I try and fix it, because you know, if I've already stuffed it so far, then I might as well try to see if I can fix it, and who knows, I might save it. We are using warm greys, W7, 5, 3 and 1, and I am going to use a bit of R20 for his little ears. I am just trying to make his little arms defined a little bit. So we've done the W7 underneath them, just a tiny little bit, and a couple little flicks here and there for just a little bit of texture in his fur. I'm also going to use the same colours for his hands and also for his feet. I'm going to add a bit more sort of shadows to his feet, but he's pretty cool. So what I'm going to do basically is I'm going to cut him out, and with putting the imprint on the card base, it means that some of those little fluffy bits that I stick out, I don't have to try and cut around those. I could just cut it through the top. And if you're really, really looking, you can see it, of course. But if anyone's going to scrutinize your card that closely, you need to get another friend. So we're just doing his, I got confused there for a while, only doing half of his tail there, but I sort of realized, no, he's the one that I'm going to cut fully out. So as you can see, I've gone back in and I've done all the rest of his tail. And I'm following some of the shadows that are already drawn in the image. You know, the little dots and everything else, they've sort of made it a little bit easier to figure out where some shadowing should be. The little dots underneath his feet, we're going to use a little bit of a multi-liner black tuxedo. No, it's just a multi-line, it's just black. It's just black, people. And put a little bit down. Now, I wasn't too sure how it was going to work on the sparkly cardstock, but it works wonderful. Perfect. So that was more sheer fluke than good management, but we'll claim that anyway. Up on his ears, I'm just using the two lightest of my warm greys, and now I'm going to come in with this pink, and I'll blend that back out again with the W1. So it just sort of, if you've never done it, you got to have a try. It's for the inside of ears, it just gives it a really soft color without it standing out too much, but you've got to go back over it with that lightest color so you can basically see it. Coloring the other little dude's tail, I do go in later on and do some, when I cut it up, I leave myself a bit of a handle, purely because I didn't know how far I was going to use, and also this way I can sort of put it that it's just his tail, so he's scampering off sort of thing, rather than having a bit of a foot. Trim off our background because he's all dry now, and there's our little, you can see my handle there. I'm just trying to figure out my placements with this. This is where I'm going to go back in. Oh no, the little center bit, I will do that to the solid mouse as well. I needed to cut out the inner guts of the mouse's tail. I'm going to go around this with a tuxedo black marker. Make sure you do it from behind because it's super easy to slip, and then you'll have this black line all over your image, and that is something, unless you went really, really dark, you can't really hide it too well. Place my little dudes on it again, and it's just missing a little bit. So we've got this Ultra New stamp, Bad Days Happen. I love this stamp. I don't use it enough because it's a bit hard to figure out what cards you're going to put with what, but we've got this sentiment, not the best. And I thought that just sort of fitted in quite nicely with him being a little bit sick. Just double check my alignment, making sure my little sentiment is all straight. But first, what I'm going to do is get out my Make Art Station, and we're going to get out another Ultra New product. Classy Circles. Circles? It's not a circles. It's getting tired because, you know, I'm trying to get a quiet time before the boys are all just sort of starting to wind down and go to sleep, and so it's like, yes, I can finally do this voiceover. I've been trying for quite a while. Bless him, but you know, boys are boys and it's Easter break, so anywho. I am using some pumice stone. I didn't want it terribly dark, and before I get to the edge, we're going to have a quick look. That's doing pretty good. And what I'm going to do is move it along so we get our entire background covered. So it sort of gives us a little bit of like a wallpaper type of look. I decided to go over the edges with the pumice stone again, but I decided that it was a little bit too, I needed more of the pinks, and mostly the pinks. So we're going to go through with milled lavender, and we're just going to do it very, very lightly, just so it's got a hint of pink on the white background. Sorry, I have a little gooby thing on my mat there that I was trying to pick off. That's like, ooh, sparkly thing. No, it's more like, oh, it's not supposed to be there, so that's going to irritate me, so get rid of it. So I've got some grey cardstock. And yet again, I'm going to play with my inks and try and figure out the best one for it. I put the pumice stone on it and it didn't show up whatsoever. So I brought out some hickory smoke. A little bit does, but you'll see what I'm going to do. And hopefully I think it turned out quite well. A little bit different, but quite well. I'm trying to get more and more ink on this, but I didn't want to go black. And I didn't really have too much of a darker grey. So you'll see what we'll do. We're going to use a little bit of multi-matte medium and just put a line so we can put our strip down. And this is going to be our skirting board. I think in America you call it something different, but that's what we call it here. And it's starting to look like a little house, a little wall with a weird floor, I suppose, you know, but cut out my little center bit of his tail again. I was like praying I was not going to rip it, and I did another card and I sort of did rip it. It was a different image, but it was the same sort of thing, super fine, but thankfully enough I saved it really, really well, and you would not be able to tell the difference at all. Going back over with our tuxedo marker again. I'm going to go in with our W's and just do that little bit of the body so it looks a bit more like he's running away. And that's some of his butt. We just have a little bit more room that way. We're going to stamp through. This is going to be, I can't remember which one I did, but I think it's a hickory smoke, and I'm actually going to stamp it up twice just to make it a little bit darker. Next, we're going to put our little bits and pieces down. We're going to glue this little dude down first because he will stick off the edge, so we will get him stuck down so he can dry, and then put our little other dude on. Again, just a little bit of multi-matte medium. I think he's so cute. He'd be so really great for a mask. He is, I suppose in some ways he's a little bit limited, but anyone who's really, really sick, like with a cold or something like that, you can easily give this sort of card to him. Just going to open it up and cut it off. I know I'm below the screen there, but I wanted to make sure it was nice and straight. This is where our multi-liner in the black, which is a 0.05. And we're just giving him a couple little dots underneath his feet, underneath his tail, and same with the other tail. It's not as much as the stamp, but you know, it will do. It will do. A little bit of Winker Stella, and that's going to pretty much be our card. All the information will be linked down below over to my blog. And feel free to pop over there and have a look. You'll get more photos. You'll get a list of exactly what I've already done. Oh yeah, I forgot my skirting board. So this is where we've got our warm grey. So I'm just doing a couple of lines down the side and just running it along the edge of the Yupo paper, and a couple little lines on the end. So hopefully you'll be able to see that in the photos, but it just made it pop a little bit more. That's it. That's my card. Take care. See you next time. Bye.